It may have been the greatest army of all time, conquering and controlling an empire that stretched across the ancient Western world. It was ruthless, disciplined, and feared by all, not just by its enemies, who died in their millions, but by its own emperors, who often paid the price of the army's wrath.
What had caused the downfall of Rome, and what has been the most impact? This is really interesting for me to find, for which I have gone through the complete history of Rome, from the starting of a monarchy to a republic to an immense empire.
They didn't have the technology, because technology means money, and money was short, so they just used what they could. And with this sort of thing, you just hammer out two halves like an Easter egg and then put them together with this. So basically, although you're trying to keep to a standard of design, the actual technical ability of them produce this.
In some cases, the Roman armor of earlier times, like chain mail or segmented armor, gave way to cruder examples.
The links of mail are difficult to produce. They were mostly riveted. So we got to this sort of period where these blokes were finding alternatives to mail and the plate. So stamping out or cutting out small links and basically sewing them together with leather will produce something that's basically stab-proof and hack-proof for a limited military engagement.
I got astonished to read about the army, that how in 100 BC army of Rome grew very large as they were constantly conquering new territories. Thus commanders of the army became very important and even more powerful than the Senate. Although many historians believe that the Roman Empire was weak by the 250 AD onwards. The Roman Empire was a very well-run economic system that created a long-lasting civilization using a porous culture to ensure a shared identity. They became inflexible and fossilized, caught in a cycle of economic depression and bureaucratic stagnation. This not only impacted the Roman society, but also impacted the future growth of the human civilization. It was quite impactful to the entire Roman Empire, which started shrinking and got affected by many reasons such as barbarian invasions, moral values, political corruptions, urban decay, entry of technology, military spending, unemployment, inflation, and cash crunch, and rise in Christianity and public health problems too. The barbarians were attacking the Roman Empire since 166 AD for gold, slaves, and other valuable things. The Roman Empire was no longer dominant with its force, so Emperor Theodosius had to rouse some barbarians to settle inside the empire. These barbarians joined the army, but they were never loyal to Rome and never adopted Roman ideas. They learned the techniques and strategies of Roman fighting and later went to support the tribes to fight against the empire. And for God's sake, the roads and bridges were left in despair and the fields untilled, because pirates and bandits made the travel unsafe for people. There was a decline in traditional values like patriotism, discipline, and devotion. Crime and violence made the city really unsafe for people. A large emphasis on violence contributed to social problems too. People became greedy and wasteful. The wealthy drained the money by spending on lavish parties. And the gladiator combats, oh my god, became glamorized and the Rome became passionate for cruelty. The empire was too large for one emperor to control, and Romans never created an effective system to determine how many new emperors will be selected. The Praetorian Guard gained complete authority to choose the new emperor, who rewarded the guard, who then became more influential, perpetuating the cycle. Then in 186 AD, the army strangled the new emperor, and practice began of selling the throne to the highest bidder. And Rome had 37 different emperors, and only 25 of them were removed from the office by assassination. And one of the main one is Julius Caesar. Most Romans lived in small, smelly rooms in apartments, houses with 6 or more stories called islands, which were very expensive apartments. Each island covered an entire block with shaky wooden stairs, hot, dirty, crowded, and dangerous living. Anyone who could not pay the taxes or the rent was forced to move out and live on the crime-infested streets. Wealthy Romans left the cities and lived in domus, or house, with marble walls, floors, and intricate colored tiles, and windows made out of small panes of glass. Attacks from the barbarian tribes outside of the empire, such as Visigoths, Huns, and Franks and Vandals. Low funds for defense. Problems recruiting Roman citizens as frustrated Romans lost their desire to defend the empire. Deadline of patriotism and loyalty among soldiers. To save money, Rome hired foreign soldiers, but these mercenaries were not loyal to Rome. The Roman military was growing weak, and emperors were forced to raise taxes, which increased the inflation. Christianity made many Roman citizens into pacifists, thus weakened the will of the Roman to defend against the barbarian attackers. Popes and other church leaders took an increased role in political affairs. A lot of valuable cash was spent on making beautiful churches. Banning other religions caused more wars from people who wanted to continue with their existing religious faith. And emperors' valuable time and energy was diverted to solve those differences or issues instead of focusing on the empire's development. Wealthy citizens would use lead pumps for plumbing and oftentimes died from lead poisoning. Public baths would often carry diseases and spread through the people who bathed in the public baths. The continuation interaction of people at the Colosseum spread diseases due to blood and death problem. And alcohol use increased at the incompetency at the general public.